So yeah, I'm Eve. My role in this dashboard project was collecting most of the data that you'll see in there and a lot of the conceptualization and GIS work. Aaron, do you want to talk about your part?
Yeah, hi everyone. I can't see most of you, but I'm good to see probably lots of familiar faces in the audience. I'm the former education and outreach coordinator at the city of Kirkland, and this project was very near and dear to my heart. And I worked closely with Eve to bring the dashboard to life, and Eve and the whole team, and then to get it out in the hands of our community so that it was a useful tool for our Kirkland residents.
Great. Okay, so right when we were in the middle of developing this dashboard, I happened to be invited to the Juanita High School Earth Corps Club to talk about the stream that goes behind their school that I think they had kind of just realized it was there. And so I was really excited to be there. I talked about kind of the changes of how the stream had been moved, and I talked about the lack of salmon access, beavers back there. And I showed them the dashboard draft that we had at that point. It looked a little bit different then. And I told them, this is the water quality index dashboard. It's a score from 1 to 100. So like your grades, 100 would be like an A, and 1 would be the worst. It's color coded, so red is high concern, green is low concern. And they took a look at the map of the whole city and they really quickly interpreted it. And I was not prepared for like the emotional reaction that these kids had. They were immediately like, our stream has a 54, that's like an F. And they're like, ours is the worst in the city. How could, like, they were like, how can we get our grade up? You could tell they were like high achievers. And so we went on to like talk about different ways they might be able to help their stream. And the thing that they ended up doing was some plantings back behind the field in the stream buffer. So that was really cool to see that they were able to carry that into some action, which is exactly what we want the dashboard to do, inspire action. If there's one message that you get out of this presentation, it is we would like you to take away that online tools like dashboards can help to bridge that gap between science and community action for those healthier watersheds. And the goal is for our residents to see the data online, to be asking questions, engaging with it, and then to take some sort of action away that they can do at home. A little overview of our presentation. I'll be sharing about the development process of our dashboard, and then Erin will talk about effective communication techniques and how we marketed that to get it in the hands of our residents. So the flow of our development went like this, kind of just planning the dashboard out, building it, doing some user testing, and then just continual maintenance and updates, which is where we are now. So the thing that really got this project going forward was that we were awarded a grant from King County WaterWorks for $50K. So that allowed us to start getting a team together to make this project happen. And our team included surface water staff from Kirkland, GIS staff, city staff, and a couple consultants. And we were able to tack this on to our stormwater master plan updates. So our consultant that was doing the master plan updates could just sub-consult to EMA to help us with building this dashboard, which made it really smooth. Okay, so kind of our first step was deciding which platform to use. There's a lot of different ones out there. I'm sure you've seen a lot of different options. The one we went with was ArcGIS Dashboard for several reasons. One was that it just works really well with spatial data, and we had a lot of GIS data we wanted to use. It also has the capacity to add some really cool charts and graphs. It's fairly user-friendly to our staff because we have people that are GIS users. And the cost was really a big one because it's already included in the ArcGIS license of the city. So you don't have to pay an extra cost to use the tool. You don't have to pay an extra cost to host the dashboard online. So that's really nice. There's some other ones that you might want to look into if you're looking to do something like that. There's Power BI, there's Tableau, there's our Shiny apps, and just custom programming would be another one. And they all have different pros and cons. So you're gonna have to weigh what works best for you. So once we had our team together, we kind of went through a series of workshops to decide what our top goals with this project. And we also looked at a bunch of examples of dashboards and interactive maps that we really liked. And these were the main goals that we came up with. We wanted a dashboard that provided visual and easy to read information on watershed health. We wanted it to have an interactive map. We wanted to include some actions that we as a city were doing to help the watershed, and we wanted to encourage behaviors of our residents that would help the watershed as well. So one of the first challenges in this project was just that we had such an overwhelming amount of data, like too much monitoring data to include in the dashboard. It's just important to be able to pare that down to something that's going to be understandable to the residents, something that will be useful to them. So we were able to kind of pare that down into 3 buckets, drop like information with like, and we decided to do one group that was just water quality index parameters, another one that was basin information that we thought would be useful for them, stuff like tree cover, hard surface cover. And then we had one more for stream life, which is our macroinvertebrate BI data. And each of these ended up being a separate dashboard to kind of make them a little more simple and digestible. Okay, so now I'm going to switch to an online demonstration of the dashboard itself. Okay, so this is the landing page of the dashboard. So the dashboards live on this website, which is a hub website hosted through ArcGIS. So we've got some information about watersheds, what they are, how people in urban areas impact watersheds. And then there's a cool story map that Aaron put together about rainwater in Kirkland. You can look at that later if you'd like. And then, so that links to our different watersheds, or sorry, different dashboards. And the first one, the intent was for users to be able to find what basin they live in. So they can do that by searching for their address over here, or they can just kind of zoom in on their neighborhood. So let's say they live over here. So they click on Juanita Creek Basin, and it populates the dashboard with information about that basin. They can read some stuff about it over here. And then terms are down below. Okay. And then the next dashboard is about water quality. Gives some information about the water quality index. Tried to keep it short and simple. And then here's the dashboard itself. So again, they just kind of click on the map and it populates over there with their water quality index scores and all the component scores that went into the overall score. And it's color coded, like I said before, with green being the best and red being the worst. So it's pretty easy to get a picture of how things are doing just at first glance. And then we put down below some ways that they can help. So maybe on this one, they might notice like, oh, we scored pretty poorly on nitrogen. So if they go down below, they can see some ways they can help minimize fertilizer use and find some more information about that. Okay, and then I'll show you our stream bug monitoring dashboard. This is the benthic index of biotic integrity. And this works pretty similar. They just click on a point and it populates over on the left and gives a nice little graph of the scores over time. And this one also has behavior improvements they can look at down below. And then one more thing I wanted to point out on the website. There's some other different tabs, but this one, How Can I Help, has some different ideas of things they can do to help. And then we have this Kirkland Clean Water Pledge they can take. And if they do it, they get some kind of reward, like a gift card to use in Kirkland or a car wash coupon. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing that and go back to the presentation. So now that the dashboard's all built, we're just in the phase of continuous maintenance and updates. We're still collecting monitoring data. So every year I go in and drop that in. It doesn't do it automatically like some of the other platforms do. I do have to manually put the data into the GIS layer. So it's a little bit more of another step that some of the other platforms have. We continued to add more content. We added a new map for stream habitat scores, and we'll just continue to do periodic updates over time to keep it relevant. Okay, turning it over to Aaron.
Awesome, thanks, Eve. Can everyone hear me okay? Great, awesome. So I put up a photo of one of our Juanita Bay turtles here to kind of talk about some of our strategies for effective communication and how we got the word out on the dashboard. And the reason I put one of our turtles is that we kind of went about our user testing phase almost like a turtle poking its head out of the shell. We would poke our head out, collect some data, go back into our shell and deal with that data and tinker with the dashboard, then poke our head back out again, collect some more user data, and go back inside and tinker again. So it was a really slow, purposeful, intentional process on how we collected feedback before rolling it out and making a dashboard live to the public. So we did a couple things in terms of user testing. We started with, actually, if you can go to the turtle still. I like the turtle. We started first with our internal stormwater folks. As Eve said, we had planning workshops. We asked their feedback on the dashboard, but for anyone who was just in Peggy's presentation in the last session, we are not our audience, right? So we take that with a grain of salt that we're the subject matter experts. We value our team's feedback, but we want to expand a wider net to our audience and know our audience. We also did internal focus groups and feedback sessions with our internal city staff, where we would give them specific tasks, tell us what the water quality score for Billy Creek was in 2023, and we would see how they got to that point and whether they got the correct answer or not. And even though they're not stormwater staff, they're still not necessarily our audience. So from there, we wanted to get actual feedback from a representative sample of Kirkland residents. And to do that, we were really fortunate to use our King County WaterWorks grant funding to enlist the help of a research group called Burshek Research Group. John Burshek did a really fantastic job of getting a representative sample of Kirkland residents to use the dashboard and get feedback from them. And what was really interesting about it was kind of in the height of COVID. So a lot of these focus groups were done virtually. And so John was able to screen share with the participants and watch them as they navigated the dashboard, watch where they got hung up, watch where they didn't click, watch where they did click. And that really provided a lot of valuable feedback about where we needed to order things. For example, we started off with one big long scrolling page of dashboard and then a dashboard below that and a dashboard below that. And what we found was that users just were not scrolling. They would stay on the first dashboard and completely ignore everything below it. So that told us to break it out into separate pages. And that's what we did. And we've seen a lot of success from that. We also got a lot of really great user feedback from that. So if you want to go to the next slide, Eve, I'll start with the positive feedback that always makes us feel better, but some really great quotes here. We heard feedback that it's really engaging and interesting, makes it relatable to everyone. I hadn't fully realized how rainwater runoff can go right into the lake. To me, that's just such a big win. Every single person that we can make that connection for of rainwater runoff to our local waterways is always a huge win. And this dashboard did that for that user. And the other one is maybe I just have low expectations for government websites, but this one did a lot of things right. It's fast, the pictures are great, lots of content that I didn't know existed. So this tells us a lot, right? I'm still in government and worked at Kirkland for over 5 years, and we can be really invested in getting all of the information on there, but it's important to take a step back, know our audience, make sure that it's user-friendly and visually pleasing for our users as well. There's also opportunities for growth that we learned from our users. For example, the font could have been larger. I had to put my readers on to view some of it. So we wanted to make sure that our dashboard was accessible for as many users as possible, that the font size was accessible. There's a translate feature built into the dashboard. But again, taking that feedback really was an eye-opener for us. And then I did try it on my phone, and it was definitely slower there. So we knew from kind of the very beginning from this user testing that making this mobile optimized was going to be a big deal. And we put a lot of work into making this a mobile friendly dashboard as much as possible. So from those insights, we did a lot of tinkering with the mobile version. Thanks a lot and help to our consultant EMA who built that mobile version. It's still not perfect, but it's light years ahead of the first version of the mobile dashboard that we had. And we've seen increased mobile engagement from the tinkering that we've done. We also heard a lot of feedback from the user testing that they didn't want all of the action to be placed on them on what they can do to help improve water quality. They want to know what the city is doing to improve water quality. So we took that feedback to heart and built out specific pages on the dashboard that talks about all of the really fantastic work that our engineers, planners, surface water crews, utility crews are all doing to help keep our creeks clean and keep our stormwater systems in good shape. In terms of communication strategies, Peggy, I'm glad that I hopped on for the end of Peggy's presentation in the last one, but again, we are not our audience. And so we really want to take the guesswork out of it by asking our audience what they think. It's important in our communication, especially of things as complicated as stream data and all of the different nutrients and parameters that are out there, to take the guesswork out of what we think is going to resonate with our audience, what we think is going to be important for them, and just go out and ask them, hey, does this make sense to you? Does this resonate with you? What do you think about the green score versus the red score? So that audience research phase is a really crucial step. And again, for anyone that's done any sort of behavior change research, it's absolutely crucial to just take the guesswork out of it and go and ask your audience. Other communication strategies that were really important to us is to make sure that this dashboard was accessible and as simple as possible. One really useful tool that a lot of you may already use or may already have seen is an app called the Hemingway app. If you haven't seen it, the Hemingway app allows you to just paste your text right into it as a live text editor, and it gives you a grade score. It tells you how many of your sentences are moderately hard to read or very hard to read, helps you eliminate passive language or simplify words. It's a really fantastic example. So the ones shown on the slide here are kind of two iterations of our draft. For those of you who don't know, we're always trying to aim in general for about a 6th to 8th grade reading level when we're doing something that's for the broad general public or for a broad community. So we can tinker with the language that we had on the left that was a grade 10, and we can break it out, make it simpler, smaller chunks, easier to read sentences, and we were able to tinker with it and get it down to grade 8. So instead of calling them macroinvertebrates, we can just call them stream bugs, right? Because that's an easier thing and an easier way for residents to understand what we're talking about. There's a lot of really great tools like this out there. This dashboard was developed really before AI was so ubiquitous and so popular. So I'm sure that there are also a lot of really fantastic AI tools that you could responsibly use in developing your own dashboard. Obviously, you never want to just copy and paste from AI, but there's probably a lot of really great tools out there that can make your dashboards or your online tools even better. In terms of getting this dashboard out into the world, just going to run through a couple of the tactics that we used. So one of the ones that I'm really proud of, we took a map and looked at where all of our park trails cross the creeks that are on our dashboard map. And we went out and placed these yard signs at each of those creek crossings in all of our local parks. And the QR code links right to the dashboard page so they can learn about the health of that creek in real time when they're out visiting our local parks. We also were able to take our dashboard and do targeted outreach based on water quality data. So Eve pulled up an example of, I think it was Everest Creek, that overall is in the green. It has a really great score, but its nitrogen score was terrible. It was in the red. And so we can take that information and send direct mailers only to Everest Creek residents with information about how to reduce their fertilizer use and help improve those nitrogen scores. And we can do that with different water quality parameters and different areas of the city, depending on what the dashboard data is telling us. We can also do the same targeted approach with social media outreach. So social media allows you to hone in on a 1 kilometer radius and target ads specifically to those audiences. So again, we could narrow in on a watershed that needs a little bit of help with nitrogen or phosphorus and run specific ads or run specific social media posts that target the residents of those watersheds with pro-environmental actions or with water quality saving actions. And here's just an example of one of those stream bug posts that we were able to target to areas that have potentially lower stream bug scores. With all of this, we wanted to see, is the dashboard effective? So just a quick run through of the data that we've collected on the dashboard. Since it launched a little over 2 years ago, we've had over 4,000 unique visitors to the interactive dashboard. Our grant goal was 1,000, so we've far surpassed that 1,000 user goal. And the really interesting stat is that we've had 17,000 views across all the dashboards. So that tells us that those 4,000 unique visitors are actually going a couple pages deep and viewing different pages. We're not, if we had only 4,000 visitors and 4,000 views, that would tell us that the visitor came there, looked at it, and then left. But because we have triple the views that we have the visitors, that tells us that they are exploring deeper throughout the dashboard. Through those targeted social media posts, we've had almost 300,000 social media impressions. We've sent 20 or almost 10,000 of those direct mail letters to Kirkland residents, and we have placed 20 of those stream side yard signs directing people to the dashboard throughout the city. In terms of lessons learned for building the dashboard, really the simplicity and engagement go hand in hand. By keeping the dashboard simple, asking our audience what they want, and tailoring the dashboard to their needs, we can really increase those engagement numbers. So in the demo that Eve was showing, we really tried to keep it to 1 dashboard per page, really short and sweet messaging. And we think we've seen that our engagement on the dashboard has really increased because we've kept our message so simple. It's also important to plan for the long-term maintenance. It was fantastic news that we got a $50,000 WaterWorks grant, but that grant doesn't fund the long-term maintenance for the lifetime of the dashboard. So before even beginning a project like this, it's important to think about, how are we going to maintain it? What system is it going to build on? Is our IT staff going to be able to support us long-term when keeping this dashboard up to date? And then with that, how can we best shift to mobile websites and keep it mobile optimized as technology continues to grow and evolve? And those are all things that are still front of mind for our Kirkland staff. I know I don't work there anymore, but I know that it is all still front of mind for my former Kirkland colleagues.
Thank you, Aaron. Okay, so I just want to encourage you really quick, if you have a lot of data that you want to get in the hands of your residents, a dashboard's a great way to do it. Back to our main point, online tools like dashboards can bridge that gap between science and community action. Thank you to King County WaterWorks. And questions. There's the QR codes. No, we didn't send out a survey, but yeah, we did that user testing to kind of a representative audience. Yeah. Oh, yeah,
Could you repeat that?
yeah, okay, go ahead.
I want to make, only give the mic so everybody can hear. Okay. My question was, I was wondering if you integrated the dashboard into any of your departments for students.
Yeah, thank you. Oh yes, Kate's here, yay, Kate is doing that, so she can answer to that, yeah.
We have sent it out to teachers, but we've also done one class at this point, but hopefully more in the future. We did a high school class where we had them look at the dashboard score for different creeks around Kirkland, and then they brainstormed. We didn't have them go down to the bottom. I didn't tell them that. I just had them look at the data, and then they had to brainstorm kind of what they would do. And then as an extension piece of that, they were given kind of a modest budget and then plan a specific action they might take in their area to improve the problematic scores in that creek. Also, just one thing while I've got the mic, because since Eve and Aaron didn't mention it, one of the big improvements that I saw over the adaptation of the dashboard was the map became zoomable. it was really clunky beforehand, but if people see a map, they're going to expect to use it like a Google map and be able to zoom in and move around on it. And that wasn't very easy at first, and now it really is, and it's a huge improvement. So definitely do that if you're really want to see.
Yeah, in the green. No. Oh, sorry. Yeah.
This question's for Erin or possibly for Kate Marissa, but I'm just curious if you sort of daydream or consider how you might use this dashboard to support some of your estimates. That type of thing.
I couldn't quite hear the question, sorry.
Erin, did you consider how this might be one day used to support SMAP outreach?
Or Marissa?
Yeah, I don't have the specific metrics. We deployed those yard signs a couple months before I left the city of Kirkland, and we did see a noticeable drive of traffic from those QR codes. I think each QR code, if I'm remembering correctly, we tied it to a specific like bit.ly link, so we could say, oh, this one came from the Forbes Creek crossing, or this one came from so and so place. So we I don't have the numbers, but we were able to see an increase in traffic from the yard sign scans. Yeah, it's built in. It's part of the package with ArcGIS dashboard. So it's when you're I know it's a big tech thing to move over to the dashboard, but when you go and scroll on there, there should be an option to pop up that you can translate it, and it's through ArcGIS service. So we didn't. I know there are issues with those built-in translators. They don't always capture the context and the tone or the specific cultural specifics of each language, but it Eve kind of mentioned you have to weigh the pros and cons of the tools that you're building, and so that's kind of one of the both pro and con of that built-in ArcGIS tool is that it's there for us and for users that might need it, but we don't have as much customization over it as we would like.